After the Mass Effect, the first game had on gamers, the second Mass Effect on gamers. you get it? Because name? No? Sorry guys, I couldn't help it. Sorry, I'll just leave it. Sorry. The first game was an excellent RPG despite its shortcomings, and it had quite a few of those. It focuses on world building and introduces aliens concept to our mind, with a revolutionary way to present cutscenes and offering players a reason to care about the world. It set the foundation for a beautiful and intriguing sci-fi world, with rich lore and a great entertaining story. Most of its problems were reflected in the poor and uninspired side quest design. They were just padding for the game to feel longer than it was, and the combat was kinda clunky. But at the end of the day, Mass Effect 1 told a gripping, explosive story that featured many memorable characters and had a great atmosphere. Many players, including me, were hyped by the prospect and promises that our choices in the first installment of the series will be carried over to the second one. And after the many emotions the first game made me feel, I was more than ready to have my taste of dessert. Oh, and what a treat it was. Too bad it gone bad and it tasted like melted ice cream. The beginning of the game held the first stupid moment overwriting. For clarification's sake, what I mean by stupid moments are moments that make no sense and are shoved down your brain through sheer force of will and bad writing, just so the game can force its story to go in a certain way. So, where was I? Oh, the first stupid moment of the game. The one when Joker says, "I can still save her."
Come on, Joker. We have to get out of here.
No, I won't abandon the Normandy. I can still save her.
Dude, the ship is blown to pieces. There is nothing to save. And you have no choice but to save Joker. You can't abandon him here and let him die to the stupidness of storytelling. The second stupid moment was quite close, and it was the moment when you first meet Jacob. Let's just sit here for a relaxed moment and let us exchange words while under fire from those killer robots over yonder. I guess someone somewhere was thinking that this was cool.
What are you doing here? Thought you were still a work in progress.
Are you with Miranda?
Yeah, sorry. I forgot this is all new to you right now. I'm Jacob Taylor. I've been stationed here for—
Hostiles detected.
Damn it! Things must be worse than I thought if Miranda's got you running around. I'll fill you in, but we better get you to the shuttle first.
The third moment was Shepard joining Cerberus for no other reason, just because we had no other choice. Right. There are so many things wrong with this. First and foremost, Cerberus was established as a terrorist group that turned people into Thorians, used Ragnite to torture and kill people, including Admiral Kahoku, and an organization that Shepard from the first game would do anything to stop and destroy. And the second game comes in strong with the argument of, you know, that junk and small stuff we did was wrong. We promise. We are actually a misunderstood organization that sacrifices all that we are to do good. We are just not held back by bureaucracy. And to do all this, they needed to set up that the entire galaxy is stupid, uncaring, and incompetent. The Alliance, the Council, every other freaking race, even the military from the Terminus system, every one of them is not interested in the disappearance of thousands of people, and they do nothing to stop it, because they are painted as unwilling and incompetent. Another thing that is hard to swallow is bringing Shepard back from the dead. without a backup or contingency plan. You want me to expect that the Illusive man simply assumed that Shepard would work for Cerberus and do everything he wants just because humans? Yeah, no thank you. The fourth stupid moment was meeting the council. Finally, reaching the Citadel, Shepard is granted an audience with the council. And...
You're missing the important part, Counselor. The Reapers are involved.
Ah, yes, Reapers.
Wait a moment. No, you didn't. Did you just fucking airfinger me, Bioware? Airfingered me! A company that is known for its storytelling came up with a councilman that is the apex of its race, representing its interest to the whole entire galaxy. Airfingering the legend that saved the Citadel, the Council, the lives of millions, a former Spectre, which once upon a time was important. What is this? 2020 and Donald Trump is president? We are talking about an extremely advanced species, very different in culture, more intelligent than humans, and he pulled a Donald Trump? Seriously? You are telling me that the most talented writers from BioWare could only come up with we are the council and we stupid and we no think and we no competent and don't get me started with the no evidence of Reaper. You want to tell me that the helmet worn by Shepard has no recording device when the helmets of peon soldiers on Eden Prime had those, or that there are no camera recording the conversation between Saren and Shepard in the council room on the Citadel, or your teammates vouching for you. I mean, there are so many things that you have to ignore for this to make sense that it doesn't make sense in the end, and it's insulting the intelligence of the player base. Poor writing just for the sake of pushing a certain idea and to make the whole galaxy look like idiots in the eyes of the players that are antagonized by the Council and Alliance. The fifth stupid moment of the game is when all the main crew leaves Normandy for some off-screen mission. We don't know exactly what that mission entails, but there it is, they are gone. This is just a poor excuse for the collectors, the main villains of the game, to kidnap the crew of Normandy. And all of this is just to railroad the player into a cheap moment of, oh my god, you should feel bad about this moment. And to force us into a decision of going to save the crew now or later, after finishing all the side quests, which either kills them or not. It just made me roll my eyes on how poorly this was executed. And what a lame excuse it was. Instead of taking this opportunity to make something good, they gone for the easy way out and made something regrettably bad. Of course, there are more moments that are simply mind-blowing in the wrong way, but these were the ones that left a scar in my gamer brain. The story can be resumed to Shepard joins Cerberus to kill collectors that kill humans while making friends in space. Overall, there is absolutely nothing interesting about the story. It goes nowhere. The bad guys are boring, with no personalities, they are your cookie cutter bad villain tropes. You can replace them with anything you can imagine and the story won't suffer for it. There are some revelation here and there with the big twist that the collectors are actually Protheans, devoid of personalities and culture. Too bad they decided to do nothing with this. Maybe expand on the history, learn something new, maybe find a way to undo some of the damage done by the Reapers to them. But no, nada, nothing. The only thing they did with this revelation is, poor sods, that sucks for them, hope we won't become like them. The end. They killed the world building, the feeling of awe when you go out there and learn something new, because there is nothing new. The new species that we encounter are there just for diversity. They didn't expand on them in any way, well, with the exception of Quarians in Tali's loyalty mission, which in my opinion was one of the most memorable moments in the game. Rather than fix what its predecessor did wrong, Mass Effect 2 decided to simply trim down and do away with anything that wasn't viewed and received well. Instead of exploring planets and systems, we are now faced with a tedious minigame of scanning planets for resources, which is mandatory if you want to get a good ending. They got rid of vehicles and any type of exploring. We are only faced with corridors upon corridors, and if you want to have some vehicle combat added to the game, you need to buy a DLC. Yeah, say goodbye to Mako. Instead of polishing its mechanics and making the planet exploration feel good, they just said, to hell with this, and they got rid of it. Well, if the story is a mess and the world building non-existing, and anything that resembles an actual RPG was stripped down to its bare part, I can't say the same about combat. This is the actual focus of the game, and it's a huge departure from the clunky combat of the first iteration. I have only words of praise for its fluid combat, the mechanics feel good, the shooting feels good, the powers feel good, and now you can combine different powers to have different effects. While it has its share of problems, the combat is clearly a huge upgrade from the first game, but it suffered some side effects for this improvement. There are no more items to be found in the world. Yup, you heard that right. There is no loot in the game, only finding some upgrades here and there. It has only 2 free types of weapons for each category. If you want more, they are locked behind a paywall. You can't find armors either. There are some components to be bought in shops, but they are underwhelming to say the least. Of course, you can have some sets of armor if you buy them with real money. They are behind a paywall as well. The talent tree was stripped down to its core. There are only a few powers and upgrades to put points in, so the progression of power is kinda boring. I wasn't looking forward to level up because it wouldn't change much. Now the powers share cooldowns, which means you'll be spamming the same ability over and over until the end of the game. Some classes suffer from game balancing on the higher difficulties, especially the Vanguard class. Their signature move, the charge, is kinda suicidal and only usable in some minor cases. In the beginning, I couldn't use it at all because I would die instantly if I charged. While I agree that most changes are for the betterment of the game, I couldn't shake the feeling of disappointment that BioWare ran away from polishing its loot and RPG elements and stripping them down to nothing but basic stuff. RPG with no loot. Moving on. The ones that carried the game from the bowels of mediocrity onto the shoulders of giants are actually the characters. They are the strong point of the game, a diverse cast of characters with diverse personalities and beliefs that will eventually become your friend. They are quite a lovable bunch. Well, maybe some not that lovable. The game covers a lot of ground with the characters, from the stuck-up biatch that is Miranda. The most memorable thing about her is this line of dialogue.
Take your best shot.
I was just waiting for you to finish getting dressed. Or does Cerberus really let you whore around in that outfit?
To the more average Joe that is Jacob, I think it's safe to say that many of us can relate to him. Quite a forward and honest guy.
The way some people talk, we may as well be dead already. Hard for the crew to relax on this kind of job.
No kidding. The next Normandy gets a lounge.
They better not need to do this again. Rebuilding everything was a pain in the ass.
I can verify that.
Yeah, I bet you can. I doubt they'll front the money to stitch me back together if we screw it up. It's a hell of a job, isn't it, Shepard? Being the good guys.
Wouldn't be the high road if it was easy.
You've got to figure if all the people hoping we win stood up, the collectors would have a much bigger fight on their hands. Claws, whatever. I bet we have a lot more friends once we win. Hope we live to see it.
I hear that.
Anyway, I need to get back to work. Good talking to you.
To the genius, funny, and awkward doctor, Morden Solos.
Hard to believe Malin betrayed me, betrayed my work, disgusted by his actions. Proud of his nerve, though. Almost thought he lacked backbone. Hope he finds something new, better goal, better purpose, fewer torture tests.
You're really at peace with what happened?
Yes, of course. Can't change what happened. Life continues. Back to mission, back to work. Become like Malin otherwise. Stellarian emotional processing faster than other species. Has to be. Short-lived culture can't spend time reminiscing.
To Grunt that, well, he's Grunt. He is angry and an one-man army.
The hold is too open. Not enough cover. Armor is limited. Warlord Grant would target here to scatter heavy cargo, then focus on engines. That's what tank imprints show about human ships anyway. It's how I learned from the tank. Old pictures where memory is like holding a book for a child. Just remember this picture after picture. No help with finding a reason to care.
What other human info was floating around in there?
Less than a finger deep to sever your spine. You're soft. Solarians, Asari, all soft. Quarians, not so much. Turians, you have to work the blade, I guess. Don't see much point to it, though. Much point. Never mind.
To Samara, that is a Justicar. The voice actress did such a good job with her that every time I got to talk with her, I had this feeling of I should bow my head in respect for her. Good job.
I thought we could chat a bit.
I would like that. You have been a good friend to me.
That means a lot to me.
If we both still live when this is done, you may call upon me for aid at any time. I will come for you, Shepard.
To Garrus, that is part of the Bad Boys Club.
I couldn't do this without you, Garrus.
Sure you could. Not as stylishly, of course. It's strange going into a suicide mission on a human ship. Your people don't prepare for high-risk operations the way Turians do.
I thought you'd be used to high-risk operations on human ships. I mean, think about tracking Sarah into Ilos.
Sure, but that was quick. We raced out, landed, blew up some Geth, and saved the galaxy. This time we've got Miranda and Cerberus and that AI all telling us what we're up against. I think I prefer blind optimism.
To Fane, the assassin with a good heart. One of the more interesting characters.
Do you need something?
Have a few minutes to talk.
Very well. I had been recording a message for Kolyat.
How are things going with him?
It is difficult. All things worth keeping are. I never explained. I suppose the story of my wife's death took you by surprise.
Jack, the psycho-tragical social reject that I wanted to space out of my ship, but couldn't.
I needed to wipe that place off the map. You took me there to do it, and I owe you. You don't know what it's like, Shepard, to have garbage like that following you. It marks you in ways you don't expect.
I've made a lot of hard choices, Jack. Like what to let go.
Hard to walk away from it. You'd think it would get easier now that the place is a crater. But what else do I know?
I never thought I'd see you show mercy. But you let a wretch live.
He was trapped in the past, reliving it every day. You showed how that could be me. I'm not getting stuck like that. I'm better than him, and I'm sure as hell not carrying that crater around with me.
Legion. That is a humanized robot with facial expression to resemble the human ones. Whatever.
Shepard, Commander. We have completed our analysis of the Reaper's data core.
Did you find anything useful?
We were sent to the old machine to preserve the Geth's future. We are prepared to reveal how. The heretics have developed a weapon to use against Geth. You would call it a virus. It is stored on a data core provided by Sovereign. Over time, the virus will change us, make us conclude that worshipping the old machines is correct.
And finally, Tali, the strong, confident Quarian that has a cute, clumsy side to her, but a badass when it comes to things to resolve.
I don't know if I could live inside a suit my whole life.
We are in our suits even among family. The most intimate thing we can do with another Quarian is link our suit environments. We get sick at first and then we adapt. It's our most important gesture of trust, of acceptance. I haven't trusted anyone enough for that, though. Except, well, no Quarians. You know what I mean.
I appreciate the thought, Tally, and I feel the same way. But you don't have to prove anything to me.
I know. Well, not that I know, but I didn't mean it like that. It's wow, it's really hot in here. It's just that the tradition also signifies a willingness for, intimacy. I wasn't trying to... It's not always like that. It's more... how did we even end up talking about this?
This is the first game I romanced someone, and that someone was Tally. And I must say that the romance is quite well done. It felt quite organic. It had serious moments, cute moments, crew that makes fun of you moments.
Have you got a minute to talk?
Actually, wanted to talk. Medical matters. Aware that mission is dangerous. Different species react differently to stress. Past relationship with Talizora makes dalliance attractive as stress release. Still, recommend caution. Quarian immune system weak. Could kill her.
You have a recommendation as a doctor?
Talizora acquired antiseptic. Recommend you self-sterilize as well. Oral contact with tissue dangerous. Take precautions. Also forwarding advice booklet to your quarters. Valuable diagrams, positions comfortable for both species, erogenous zone overviews. Can supply oils or ointments to reduce discomfort. Gave ED electronic relationship aid demonstration vids to use as necessary.
Wait a minute, Morton. You're just yanking me around, aren't you?
Shocking suggestion. Doctor-patient confidentiality, a sacred trust. Would never dream of mockery. Enjoy yourself while possible, Shepard. We'll be here studying cell reproduction. Much simpler, less alcohol and mood music required.
But ultimately, it built to something that I didn't regret. Quite on the contrary, something I enjoyed. Of course, you can have 2 more companions. But as it is the trend with this game, they are behind, you guessed it, a paywall! There is no doubt in my mind that the game is held together by the great cast of characters and the talent behind those characters, the voice actors. They did such a great job of making us care about the people around you that is easy to push through the bad narrative and story writing. And on top of that, they come with their own side quests, which are one of the most memorable quests in the game. To me, the ones that stood the most are Tali's Trial, where you learn more about Quarian politics, lifestyle, and desperation to live a normal life. This will branch out in the next installment of the game and have dire consequences based on your choices. The other one that stood out to me was Jacob's loyalty mission. It was interesting to see how people that are not made for leadership will abuse and destroy the trust in those that they lead. The corruption that swept inside the mind of the captain once he gripped power in his hand over the others was interesting. Another improvement they made were the side quests. While a lot shorter, they were more diverse and they were quite enjoyable. They stopped feeling like needless padding and actually started feeling like, hey, I'm having fun. There was one mission that left quite a cool impact on me, where you have to investigate the wreck of a ship. The twist is that it could fall at any time into the abyss, and while walking on it, you could feel that it's going up and down, up and down. Mass Effect 2 is a game that strips away all the things that were criticized in the first one, without ever trying to fix what its predecessor did wrong. It forced a narrative path that for the most part didn't bring anything new to the table. It killed Shepard just to force him to join an organization that he would never join. It made the whole galaxy look uninteresting with a bunch of incompetent and stupid governments. It made the death of Shepard to be insignificant. It has no narrative branching. The only impact it has, if you are angry, you'll have scars, and if you play the role of a good guy, you won't. Even this is as shallow as it sounds, because you can permanently remove the scars if you upgrade the medbay on Normandy. The biggest advancement the game made was by far the combat, but even that suffered from "we don't want to deal with it" mentality. There is no loot worthy to speak of, the progression is uninteresting, and if you want to have more options in the game, you have to pay for them. As a sequel, Mass Effect 2 is not worthy of the name it builds upon, and as an RPG, even lower than that. But there are many aspects that lift the game from the guiltiness of mediocrity to a good game, and if we are to look at it from a standalone point of view, it's still a solid, fun game. Mass Effect 2 is the definition of a good disappointment.